You can work for food or bear my children. The cowboy said. She took his hand without a word. The sun hung low over the vast Wyoming plains, casting long shadows across the golden wheat fields. Dust rose in lazy swirls as a lone rider appeared on the horizon, the silhouette of his wide-brimmed hat unmistakable. His horse moved steadily, hooves thudding rhythmically against the dry earth, carrying a man whose presence seemed to command the land itself. At the edge of the field, a small cabin sat in humble isolation, smoke curling from its stone chimney. A young woman, sleeves rolled up, hands roughened from hours of labor, paused to wipe sweat from her brow. Her name was Clara, and life had been hard for her since she'd come west seeking freedom and independence. The man dismounted, spurs clinking, and his boots stirred the dust as he approached. His eyes were sharp, scanning, but beneath the rugged exterior lay an intensity that made Clara's pulse quicken. "You work the land yourself?" he asked, voice low but firm, carrying the weight of authority and curiosity in equal measure. "Yes," she replied, steadying her gaze on him. She had no desire to show weakness, but the heat of the day and the pull of something unspoken made her heart thrum against her ribs. He dismounted fully, brushing dust from his coat, and studied her. "Land doesn't feed itself," he said slowly. "People don't last long out here without help. I can offer you work, or something else entirely." Clara stiffened. The tension in his voice suggested a proposition far bolder than mere employment. She had learned to read the intentions of men who roamed the plains, each word a hint, every pause deliberate. "You mean?" She started cautiously, but the words caught in her throat. He stepped closer, and the scent of leather and sun-warmed earth filled the space between them. "I mean you can work for food, shelter, and my protection, or bear my children," he said, the statement blunt, unyielding, yet not unkind. Clara's eyes widened, and for a moment, the prairie seemed to fall silent. The wind held its breath. The fields swayed as if in anticipation. She looked at him. This man, rugged and commanding, who had appeared like a storm in her quiet life, and she knew she faced a choice that would shape her future. Without speaking, she reached out and took his hand. The contact was electric, neither of them breaking eye contact. There were no words, only a mutual understanding of need, desire, and the complicated weaving of their destinies. "I'll stay," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper, though firm with resolve. "I'll work. She hesitated, letting her gaze drop to his hand holding hers. "I'll do whatever it takes." The cowboy, whose name she would later learn was Luke, nodded once, sharply. "Good," he said. "You'll learn fast out here. Life doesn't wait for the timid." Over the next weeks, Clara threw herself into the rhythm of the ranch. From dawn to dusk, she mended fences, tended animals, cooked over the fire, and learned the meticulous ways of tending the land. Luke watched her closely, sometimes helping, often observing, and always there, always present in a way that made her pulse quicken whenever he was near. Evenings were the hardest. The long days left her exhausted. Yet when the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in fiery streaks, Luke would come to sit beside her. Sometimes they talked quietly of life, dreams, and the hardships that had brought them here. Other times, words were unnecessary. Their hands brushed, shoulders touched, and the tension of unspoken desire hummed in the air. One evening, after a long day herding cattle, Luke appeared at the cabin's edge, leaning against the doorframe. Clara, weary but proud of her progress, looked up from the fire she had just stirred. "You've learned more than I expected," he said. "You have strength and spirit." Clara felt warmth creep into her cheeks. "It's not just strength," she replied. "It's necessity. Out here, you survive or you don't." Luke stepped closer, closing the distance between them. His hand brushed hers, lingering longer than before. "Necessity can lead to choices that can bind two people together," he said quietly, her breath hitched as she understood his meaning. She had come west to find independence, yet here she was, on the threshold of a future tied to one man. A man she couldn't stop thinking about, a man who had offered her more than work. He had offered protection, companionship, and the unspoken promise of a life together. That night, under the silver glow of a full moon, they sat on the porch, shoulders touching. The wind whispered through the fields, carrying the scent of wildflowers and hay. Clara felt a pull she couldn't resist. She leaned closer, and Luke's hand found hers once more, gripping gently but possessively. "You know the choice you made," he murmured. "It's more than work now. It's us." Clara's heart swelled. She had chosen a path of survival, yes, but also one of connection, intimacy, and perhaps even love. She nodded, silent, letting her hand stay in his, letting the quiet night speak the words neither dared to voice aloud. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Clara's skills grew. The ranch thrived. And as Luke and Clara worked side by side, the bond between them deepened. There were moments of tenderness, of laughter, and of shared struggles that cemented a partnership built on respect, trust, and undeniable passion. One evening, after a hard day repairing a broken fence, Luke pulled her into the barn for shelter from a sudden summer storm. Lightning flashed, illuminating his chiseled features and the intensity in his eyes. Without a word, they kissed. A long, slow, consuming kiss that carried the weight of weeks of longing. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside, the electricity undeniable. From that moment on, their relationship evolved naturally, a dance of intimacy, partnership, and fiery desire. They became more than master and worker. They became lovers, confidants, and eventually, the promise of family began to bloom between them. Clara realized over time that the choice she had made, though sudden, unspoken, and daring, had led her to a life she never imagined. A life of work, yes, but also of passion, of love, and of shared dreams beneath the endless skies of the Western Plains. Luke's hand in hers had been the first step, and together, they would face whatever challenges came next, strong, united, and unafraid.